I heard a little nugget from someone last night that's pretty interesting, I thought, to shift topics on you for just a second, but I think you'll find this very interesting. So Peyton Manning left the Indianapolis Colts because they didn't think he could play any longer. And I know somebody very close to Peyton Manning's family that thought that he would never have the grip strength to be able to throw the football. They thought he was permanently damaged, and that Cooper actually had a similar condition, and it was part of the reason he didn't play because of the stenosis in his neck. So they said at the time, this was before he came back and played for the Broncos, he could barely shake somebody's hand, much less grip a football hard enough to throw it. So I had somebody tell me that was very, very, very close to the family, said he's not going to play again. Now he ended up playing with the Denver Broncos, probably about, he had a great season, but the year he won the championship was a shell of himself. And I thought he did a fantastic job of maximizing what he had. But I heard a little birdie say that now they have a shakeup in Indianapolis. And now you have Jeff Saturday replacing Frank Reich, which is just bizarro because Jeff Saturday he was supposed to be at ESPN the day he was announced as the new head coach. So that's pure stupidity. But I had someone tell me that Saturday is willing to do that and be an interim coach because he thinks that Peyton Manning might be interested in the GM spot. So if you're Peyton Manning, would you be more interested in running your Omaha Productions? Because that thing has gotten vast. I know you can delegate and have people work for you. Would you rather do that and the Manning cast, or would you rather run an NFL team? Amanda, which would you prefer?
If I'm Peyton Manning, I'll go with what I would prefer as just me, and then what I think he would prefer.
Okay.
So if I were Peyton Manning, I think that I would prefer to just stick with the Omaha Productions and just run that, because there's not a lot of stress. There's not a lot of, it's your thing. It's not a whole team. It's not a whole fan base. It's just your thing. Peyton Manning, on the other hand, I think would rather be the GM of an NFL team like that, because I think he is obsessed with football. I think he is. Tom Brady's the same way. And Peyton Manning actually had the same surgery that my mom had on her neck, where she couldn't even lift her arm. So I know it was really bad. But I think that he would take that GM position hands down. And if he does, then just hand it over to Cooper. Cooper's good too. And, Cooper can do I'm talking about the, Omaha Productions. Just hand it over to Cooper. I mean, apparently Cooper was the best one out of all of them. So just hand that over. Cooper can do it. We've seen him do commercials. He's fine.
Yeah, I think that, and Joe said this. I think Peyton has more interest in ownership of a team or a GM than a GM. And we're also talking about this could be like the vice president of football ops. So maybe not a GM where you make actual personnel decisions, but you hire the GM. So if I misspoke, my apologies. But I believe that Peyton would like to be a part of an ownership group of a team. I think he'd be around football. I think there would be a lot to that. I think the Omaha Productions is something to do for the time being until the exact right opportunity comes open. And it may well be the Indianapolis Colts. It's one of the rare divorces in sports where a superstar leaves on good terms. And even if they didn't, a lot of time has passed. And there's not a Lucas Oil field if not for Peyton Manning. I mean, the Colts are not relevant to this very day if not for Peyton Manning. I mean, that was the laughing stock, 3-13 every single year, 1-15 until Peyton Manning got there and changed the trajectory of the program. The Jeff Saturday thing is just the most bizarre um, hiring that I could possibly imagine, Amanda. I mean, you had Hannah Storm literally say that, hey, I just wanted to offer this up. Jeff Saturday is now going to be the coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So I guess he won't be here tomorrow because he had a shift at ESPN tomorrow. I mean, it was literally that out of left field. I mean, she's live on the air and said, well, I guess we'll reschedule tomorrow's show.
Maybe he wants to get out of the left field.
Saturday?
We're going politics again, yes.
Oh, yeah. Are
Yes.
you saying that ESPN leans left? No. Joe also saying GM is too scrutinized for Peyton. Just my opinion. I agree. I think he needs to be a front office guy. And having a 30-year-old offensive coordinator, passing game coordinator, a 30-year-old OC, passing game coordinator. Okay, but let's take this one step further. If you're Peyton Manning and you take a front office position, and Jeff Saturday, I think, is going to be an interim coach. And Dan Orlovsky has said that he has spoken to Jeff Saturday about possibly coaching together at some point, and that and Dan Orlovsky, who is an incredible NFL analyst, would like to coach one day. But if you're Peyton Manning, who do you call to be your head coach? Who's the perfect fit that you have a relationship with?
Josh Heupel.
Struck me about 3:30 in the morning in my insomnia when I was thinking about that. So if you're Peyton Manning, do you stay true to your school, or do you make an offer to Josh Heupel and know that you may undermine yourself and your fan base at Tennessee, but you already have legendary status and you can build the Colts up? Because I'm telling you, don't worry about Oklahoma. Worry about the NFL. Because the NFL loves them some Josh Heupel. He's a creative mind. He's a creative mind who has shown that he will adapt. Brittany says he better not.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Brittany. I'm with you. Orange Blood said, nope, Heupel not ready or cares for that. I don't know about the latter, but I can promise you Josh Heupel is a smart enough man where he is ready for that. He may not want it. He may not want to deal with divas. He may not want any of that stuff. I'm not arguing that, Orange Blood, but I will say that I don't know what's in his heart of hearts, and we really don't. Nobody does except for probably him and his family. But is he ready for it? Yeah. He could do that. He could do that job and have success. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Bill Belichick.
That's just a rough thought, though. I mean, just thinking, would Peyton do that to Tennessee? I think the only way that he would do that and bring Josh Heupel on, if Peyton, this is lots of ifs, ands, and buts.
Sure.
But the only way I think that Peyton would do that is if he had somebody else in mind for Tennessee. Like if he already had somebody in place that he thought could take the reins. Because we've seen that Peyton is diehard orange and white. We've seen that he lives, breathes, everything volunteers. So I don't think he would just intentionally kind of screw Tennessee over unless he sees somebody that he could say, okay, you can come in and you can do this job. You'll be successful. And he has like a rapport with someone. What would be super interesting, let's just throw this all out there.
This topic way too much.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun to think of things like this. So what would be super interesting, and I wonder if Tennessee fans would be okay with it. Say Peyton Manning pulls Heupel to the Colts, okay? Say this is just a situation. What if Heupel goes to the Colts and Kiffin comes back to Tennessee?
That's a big what if. Those are a lot of what ifs. Brittany says, time to change the subject. Let's move on. This is giving me severe anxiety. Again, this is
Brittany.
This is a 1 in a million chance of happening. I don't want to I don't want to scare anybody. But if you take a job in a front office position and you want to be an owner one day, you have to make the best hire for you.
But would Tennessee fans be okay with Kiffin coming back? Just asking. If Heupel leaves, would you be okay with Kiffin coming back?
You
Because
know,
you know you're going to win.
one of our very valued and beloved clients actually still says to this day, he says, I wonder what would have happened if Kiffin stayed, and I kind of still like him. So, yes, I think there are some people. I don't think Tennessee's administration would ever go that route, but they should.
Danny White would do it. I
Yeah.
guarantee you Danny White would do it.
I mean, if Josh Heupel decided he wanted to retire from coaching because he decided he wanted to go coach soccer like Ted Lasso, okay,
I love Ted
and
Lasso.
that show's incredible. When's
It
it
is
coming back?
amazing.
It's been off for like 18 years, so
A
it
lot of
has to
years.
come back soon. But if he decided he wanted to go coach soccer, then Lane Kiffin is the first guy you should call because he would say yes in a heartbeat, and the offenses are similar, and he would do a great job. But I don't think, as Joe said, the power brokers at Tennessee wouldn't let Kiffin back. I don't think that's what Joe said. Joe, I think you're correct, but it's certainly interesting to think about. Just offering that up. And I am
I'm
telling you that it's a matter of time until an NFL team calls Josh Heupel. That is
and I
going to happen. I don't know if it's this year, it's next year, or the year after. It's going to
and
happen.
I think the NIL though also makes college, like coaching college, a little bit closer to the NFL. I mean,
Right.
it does. It's, I've said that once you pay the players, and I'm not saying I agree, I disagree, whatever. We're keeping that out of opinion out of it. But once you pay the players, that's when they turn into divas. Once they are making the money, there's no incentive unless they're just good people who grew up like loving football and loving the team that they're on. There's no incentive to listen to coaches or whatever else unless their dream is to go to the NFL. But if all they're looking for is a paycheck, then you're coaching, the NFL caliber divas in college already because they're already making money. So there's really no incentive for them to listen
Right.
and get better because they're making money already and in the millions of dollars.
Well, it
So,
goes back to the comment, not ready for that, that he would be ready for the X's and O's, but not the rest of the mess. Well, college
this is
football
a
could be on the
mess.
verge of messes with money flying around left and right. It very well could. I mean, you think Hendon Hooker, if you think Hendon Hooker picking up a Mercedes Benz of Knoxville endorsement deal is rare and out of the norm, that's only going to get bigger and bigger, especially in a place like Knoxville. And I pointed out before, which is a perfect mix for NIL because they have corporate money and there's nobody else to really root for. So
Yep.
you don't have the competition that you have at other places. If you're in Atlanta, you have to decide between UGA, the Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks, where you want to spend your money in terms of marketing dollars. In Knoxville, if you want to be aligned with a sport, there's only one.
Yep. Yep.
And I will say this, do I think Josh Heupel would be ready for that sort of mess? Absolutely.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he's handled the NIL incredibly well. I don't think it's any more complicated. Now, I would rather, me personally, and I believe Josh Heupel feels this way as well, just purely based off people I talked to. But again, I thought Lane Kiffin would stay at Tennessee until they fired him, and that wasn't the case. But I will say this, I would rather be a college head coach. I think there is still some mentoring of young men. Now, that's not as strong as it used to be because they come in as divas and they're getting paid, and it's not quite like it was. But Jalen Hyatt's a prime example. That guy was off the rails 16 months ago, thought he deserved to catch a bunch of touchdown passes. Didn't happen. He changed himself as a man in part because Josh Heupel offered that sort of guidance.
Yeah.
So there is still some of that, but is it as big as it used to be?
No. Because a lot of these players come from, not a lot, but some of these players come from really bad backgrounds where they're not making any money coming in. They come from, relatively, some of them poverty. So their goal in life with football is to get to the NFL and make a bunch of money. That's their ambition, that's their drive. They go to college and already make that money, that ambition's gone unless it's for like more than just money.
Joe says, I think the NIL has helped him more as a recruitment strategy and helped him recruit maybe better than he was able to at UCF. Completely agree with that. He's managed it very well. I think he could manage free agency in the same way.
But it's not supposed to help recruiting.
Not supposed to.